So good evening again, everybody, and welcome back. This is the June 2024 edition of Lawyers Happy Hour. I am the host and the organizer of Lawyers Happy Hour. I'm Daya Nate. I'm the success partner. We are a law firm co-pilot. We help your law firm achieve its vision by working one-to-one with you and setting your goals and really being a support to your law firm. So contact us if you would like more information about that. Without further ado, I am spotlighting our speaker, Ms. Krista Daryl, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and go on with the program. And again, you may ask questions as we go along.
Yeah, so I am sharing the wrong screen, but hoping to find the right one. Let me try that one more time. So my name is Krista while I figure this out. And I am an executive well-being coach. So what that means is that I work with C-level, C-suite executives, and executive level professionals to help them level out in all of the areas of their life, so that they can continue to level up where they want to at that particular time. So that may look like getting someone's health and wellness under control so that they can show up as a better partner or parent or professional, or working with them as an executive to help them decouple from their workday so that they can move into home and personal life without taking all of that baggage with them and developing those skills and tools to do so. And that kind of ties into what we're going to be talking about today, which is being mindful and present as a lawyer. No, I'm still sharing the wrong screen. Here we go. I did it. Yes. So specifically a practice of presence and what that means, or what it means to be mindful, and how one that can benefit specifically lawyers, and what that looks like at different points throughout the day. So there's going to be lots of practical takeaways for all of you, I hope. As Daya said, please interrupt me, ask questions. I love that. I'm going to be asking you all questions throughout this as well. So you've been warned. Nothing too heavy though, don't worry. So a little bit more about me. This is just little snippets of my life. You know, I have a husband, a dog. His name is Mr. Fox, a huge family. I'm into yoga and whiskey and wine. So there's lots of elements that go into all of our lives, right? And it's really, how do we balance that and show up as best and as well as we can and want to in all of those areas when they show up and present themselves. So today, like I'd mentioned, we're going to be going through some practical strategies of how to do that. Morning, noon, night, what does being mindful at those times and in certain places look like? With the goal of the increased productivity, reducing stress, and improving overall well-being. Sounds like, you know, pie in the sky kind of stuff, but there is a lot of science and a lot of real fact behind the things that I'm going to be talking about today, which I'll highlight as we go through. As I was doing a bunch of research for this, I was kind of overwhelmed with some of these statistics that I found. Almost 70% of lawyers, according to the ALM and law.com in 2023, so this is very recent data, are exhausted, overwhelmed, fatigued. There's trouble concentrating. They're less motivated. It was shocking, and like it's avoidable, and we can do something about that. So I was really excited. We kind of taken a spin, a positive spin on the negative, right? Like I was really excited to put this presentation together because it can directly address all of these things that are listed here. So some of the benefits of mindfulness, before we get into what that means and what it looks like, is improved focus and concentration, that stress reduction, enhanced emotional resilience, and improved attention to detail. And yes, sometimes mindful is like that picture on the left-hand side where you're sitting on a yoga mat, everything looks peaceful and zen, and you're breathing and but it also looks like not that too. And we'll talk about that. But no matter what it looks like, increasing your mindfulness, especially if you're able to do that throughout your day, does directly correlate to those benefits listed on the right-hand side of the screen. So what the fuck is mindfulness? Pardon my French. There's three key elements: being fully present, aware, kind of in the name of it, right? And the key is that not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going around or what's going on around us when we're being present. So it's the combination of these three things that equate to mindfulness. You can be fully present and in the moment, but if you are like on edge and fully present and in that moment and aware of what's going on, you're not really like mindful. You're aware, you're present, but it's that regulation of those feelings that goes along with mindfulness. We can also be in a place and not really reacting and kind of just like, I'm here, right? So and we're not really aware of what's going on. There might be somebody over on the side of the room trying to get our attention and we can't even see it, right? Like that's not being mindful either. So it's really the combination of those three things that equates to mindfulness. This is just heading into a new day. So we're going to be talking through some of those practical elements or practical tools that you can implement in the morning for increased mindfulness. And I thought this is a great quote: a new day, fresh try, new start, and a little bit of magic, because why not? Magic is great. So by looking at the chat, so if you open up the chat, how many of you, just by entering like the number 1, would consider yourselves a morning person? No judgment. Okay, we've got a not a chance. Love it. I am one of those a little bit. Okay, cool. 2. I like it. I am one of those morning people. At least I used to be, and I've kind of changed seasons with that a little bit. Yeah, definitely depending on the night before, Ernest impacts my morning as well. But it's interesting. We got like a couple morning people in the room. It's great. So these may be a little bit more applicable to you, and for the others on those random days that you find yourself waking up and wanting to get mindful first thing, you can tap into some of these. So by adding mindfulness into your morning, you're really setting the tone for your day. And whether or not that's an early morning start or a later morning start, these all can still apply. The first one is just breathing mindfully. Our breath is part of our autonomic nervous system. I'm not going to get too sciencey and geeky here, but it is directly connected to and can influence how the chemicals are being moved through and like putting into our bodies. So when you learn how to be mindful with your breath and control the movement of your breath, you can literally change what's going on inside of your body, which has always blown my mind. I'm a little bit obsessed with breath. So by incorporating just 5 minutes, maybe 10 breaths if you want, you can use your fingers, right? Of mindful breathing in the morning can really just get your nervous system ready to start the day and calm and collected. And maybe you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I know I have done that. Just taking a few breaths in the morning, taking that time to breathe can really just give you a good reset. And the particular practice that I wanted to highlight is what's called cyclic sighing. So there's been a lot of new research published about this specific breath pattern that has been shown to drastically reduce stress, regulate your nervous system, and just be all around amazing for your mind and your body. And how you do that breath is you take a pretty deep, but not like aggressively deep, inhale through your nose. At the very top of that breath, you breathe in a little bit more, and then you sigh out that breath slowly through your mouth. So if you want to try that now with me, you can just take a big inhale to start and sigh it out. And breathe in through your nose. Breathe in a little more. And slowly sigh it out through your mouth. So after one breath, there might not be a drastic shift, but if you do that for 5, maybe 8 or 10 breaths, you'll start to feel that change and that calmness start to move into your mind and your body, which is kind of cool. And it's just breathing, which is wild and easy and free and available all the time. Another thing that you can do in the morning, pretty easy to kind of fit in, right, is setting a positive intention. This could also be translated as, setting an affirmation for your day or saying affirmations to yourself. Full transparency, I am not an affirmation person, and you might not be either, which is totally fine. Like, of all of the things that we're going to talk about today, I am sure that all of them are not going to resonate. And the cool thing about mindfulness is that there are so many options that you can kind of pick and choose what works for you, which is really neat. But with setting a positive intention, you are literally getting yourself in that positive mindset, and being present about what you're saying, what you're doing. You're aware of those words in that intention, and you're not being overly reactive to how you might be feeling after you wake up, how you're feeling, thinking about what's coming up ahead. You're just intending and setting that intention for your day. So an example of that, and I can also send along some others after this that we can send out to all of you and everybody that registered. But an example that you could use is just, today I will approach my tasks with calm and clarity. You can imagine yourself sitting at your coffee table or on the side of your bed right as you wake up and just saying that phrase to yourself. It doesn't even have to be out loud, but really meaning it, right? Like being present and meaning those words as you say them to set that tone and that positive intention for the day. Pretty easy one, not even a minute, right? But just being in that phrase when you're saying it. And then moving mindfully. So this one is one of those like combination. It seems pretty easy, like move mindfully. Like, yeah, I walk over to the bathroom and brush my teeth and but moving mindfully, right? If we apply those 3 pieces of mindfulness, being fully present in your body as you're moving, being aware of what's going on, and being non-judgmental or reactive about it. So what this could look like is if you want to stretch, right? And you reach down and touch your toes, like you are there and feeling the stretch in the back of your legs or maybe in your back. Maybe you're not able to touch your toes, but that's okay. You're not reacting to that. You're not judging. You're not saying, oh my God, I can't touch my toes. This is terrible. I'm never doing this again, right? Instead, you're just becoming aware of how your body is feeling in that moment and maybe even reacting to what might feel better, right? Like, oh, I'm noticing there's tightness in my legs or my hamstrings or my low back. So I'm going to bend my knees and, oh yeah, that feels way better, kind of a thing. So the practice, use the reaching down to touch your toes as an example. But the practice here would be what I'm calling a reach and open. So inhaling your arms up and then exhaling your arms to a goalpost, like opening through the front of your chest, waking up in the morning, getting all of that positive movement of opening and reaching and doing that a couple of times, right? Combining that with breath and movement and really just getting fully into your body and present and aware of how your body's feeling in the morning can help establish that calm, focused, and positive mindset in the morning. Awesome. I'm going to take a pause. Any initial questions, thoughts, comments?
I couldn't help but doing it here,
It's right? It feels so good. And also with that stretch, the majority of us are sitting hunched over, not that aggressively, but hunched over at a computer all day. And even when we're sleeping at night, we're like curled up in a ball, or maybe you're starfishing. I don't know. I don't know how you sleep. I don't need to know. But that like opening up in the morning, it can feel really, really good.
I think it's a very good, I forget what you said, 1 minute or 30 seconds. I know that there's just sometimes while I'm sleeping, I'm wigging out over what's coming the next day.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I can't wait to get up and go, and let's just, pardon the French, but let's just get this butt whooping over with. I know I
Yeah.
screwed up, but we're gonna be fine. Nobody's gonna get fired, whatever, but I'm going on the carpet. But there's two ways to do that, right? One is to show up with emotions flying. The other one is to show up and go, all right, come on, let's get this over with. Okay, good, we all good? Yeah, good, let's go. And this is a good way to start. I think it's, especially you do these things together. It's very good.
Yeah, yeah. And I would even offer that there's a third way, right? Is showing up and saying, you know what will be is gonna be. And here I am, taking that the definition of whatever is gonna happen out of it, to just let your mind relax and like, okay, it's good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a wonderful segue. So thank you for sharing, is to this quote, which I kind of love, is you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf,
You can learn to
you were
surf,
saying.
and my experience observing people that work in law firms, it's intense.
Yeah, yeah.
Even they use the word team, which I have to bite my lip, but even among team members, it's intense.
Yeah.
It's very competitive internally and externally, and this would help. Anything to, the stress thing, that's the key, and get rid of it. Anyway,
Yeah.
these are good tips, I think.
Yay. And there's more. So kind of moving into midday, right? You're in the thick of it. You've been thinking about this, since you were asleep, right? The night before, kind of a thing. So how can you just mentally pause and reset during the day? And like you had mentioned, it's super competitive. It's very stressful. There's tons of stuff going on. So I tried to focus on these things being pretty quick and easy, and not like very intrusive to your day. Except for one that's not intrusive, but this might require a little bit more. But kind of keeping with the theme of my obsession with breath, because it is free, available to us always, and can cause such a huge impact, is adding in a couple of moments of mindful breathing in the middle of your day. You can do this as you're walking to the bathroom. You can do this as you're in your office with the door shut for like 2 minutes. But throughout the day, and I'm a yoga instructor as well, and one of the common comments that I would get it like after class is like, oh my gosh, thanks for telling me to breathe. I forgot that I was even breathing. And I was like, oh, I should breathe right now. What's great about our breath is that it's controlled by our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system. It's got auto in the name. So when we don't think about breathing, our brain takes over and does it for us, which is great, right? Keeps us alive. Thank you, brain. But when you're stressed, your brain is stressed out and controlling how you're breathing, assuming that there's some threat, assuming that you might need to run really soon. Your breath is quick, it's shallow, it's following that stressful pattern. So during the day, whether we are aware of that or not, if we take that pause to shift our breathing into a more relaxed pattern, then that will change how our brain is receiving that input, and physiologically start to change to that rest and digest, that calm nature internally, which will help us physically, like actually calm down. So the practice here is what's called 4-7-8 breathing. So you inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds, try to relax your shoulders when you do it, and then exhale slowly out of your mouth for 8 seconds. You only need to do this for 4 times to even start to feel that benefit. So 4 breaths, right? That's 15, almost 20 seconds, right, per breath. You can take a little over a minute, right, to just reset and use your breath. Or you can take longer. Longer is always great for breathing exercises. So, but this is a nice, easy one to work into your day in literally like a minute, maybe a little more than a minute. Scanning your body. So kind of going along with how we lose sight of even breathing, we lose sight of what's even going on in and around and where our body physically is in space. So just taking time to become aware, right? Present, aware, and non-reactive to what's going on in our body can help our brains kind of ground in the present moment and just chill a little bit. The practice for this I put a 5-minute body scan. You can do this even faster if you need to. It's a couple minutes of like, okay, what am I feeling in my feet? What am I feeling in my legs? What am I feeling in my torso, my shoulders, my arms, my hands, my head? But going through that practice of scanning your body, noticing what's there, becoming aware and present of what's happening, and then not really judging that, just being like, okay, cool. Like I've been wearing heels all day and my feet hurt and that sucks. Or I've been wearing dress shoes all day and my feet hurt and okay, moving on. Like, but this practice of scanning your body and noticing what's going on physically, mentally, energetically, emotionally grounds you and allows your body and your brain to just calm down. So the 5-minute body scan is this finding a comfortable seat, noticing where you're carrying any tension and what that might feel like. It could be actual like physical pain. It might feel like scrunching. Maybe you notice your shoulders are really close to your ears. And then without judgment, giving your body permission in that place to relax and just repeating that 5 times. It is wild how giving permission, like intentionally saying like, yes, my shoulders are stressed, relax shoulders, can change the feeling in your body, especially when you intentionally direct it at a specific place. And this is the one that's a little bit more time intensive, but also doesn't have to be, but taking a mindful walk. And it's not necessarily the walk itself, it's the mindful element of it. So this is a form of meditation. Thich Nhat Hanh has a whole book about it. It's a very tiny book, but it's becoming and being fully present in the act of walking. So you don't have to go out for like a 30-minute stroll. You could mindfully walk to the break room to get a coffee and mindfully walk back. You can mindfully walk to, I don't know, anywhere in your office and mindfully walk back. So the practice of taking a stroll can be as long as you like. Ideally, it is in or along a path that you won't necessarily be distracted or taken like off to the side. But before you get on your way, standing up nice and tall, relaxing your shoulders, taking a few deep breaths, and then walk slowly and deliberately as you focus and become aware and present of your feet touching the ground, how your thighs have to engage to lift your leg and place your foot down. Really like the details of what it even is to walk. And then your mind will drift. It is totally normal and natural. And when it does, without judgment, right? That's the other third piece of mindfulness, bringing yourself back to focusing on those sensations of walking. So this one, it can be made a little bit longer if you need that 15, 30-minute break. I would highly recommend trying to get outside for this stroll, but it can also be really short, like to the break room or the bathroom or something like that. Cool. Midday mental pause and reset. Any comments, questions, thoughts about this?
I was thinking when you were talking about, some areas have a labyrinth walk, and those are very interesting. So different places have those. If there's one nearby, that would be an extra. That would be like extra bonus points.
Yeah.
That would be bonus point. This is actually some corporations in the Detroit area incorporate this in their onboarding programs. I know for sure one of the big ones is company Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage is a big mortgage financial company. When you get hired in, the first week they call it Charm School, and it's kind of in jest, but learning how to walk, they teach you how to walk two ways. This is one of them. And the other one is, if you're walking to go somewhere, go there and get back, and let's just not spend all day in the hallway talking about what happened last weekend. But they actually teach this practice.
I love that. That's
For your
awesome.
15-minute breaks or things, and they've set up they've got indoor gymnasiums, walking tracks, rubberized things, but they encourage if you're gonna take a break, go do it. Just don't waste even the break time.
Right.
Get back and get your mind. Yeah. Interesting. Very. I guess I've never done it, but when I think about companies like that, which are gigantic, and it's one of the things that you don't usually hear or know, but it's part of the employee, what would you call that, process or labor related, I don't know, it's a, yeah, so.
Awesome. That makes my heart happy that to hear that big companies like that are doing that and teaching people that. So yay. Kind of moving into the evening. It takes courage to say yes and rest and play, because as I think a lot of you can relate, exhaustion and the grind and the hustle and work till you're dead is such a story and sometimes status symbol that we hear out there. So to go against that grain, be like, nope, I'm gonna chill right now and turn my brain off, turn my phone off. Like that's the contrarian view, right? These days. So what we're going to head into now is mindfulness techniques for closing out your day, and what that could look like in, after work, like either while you're home or while you're transitioning to being home or even transitioning to bed, what those mindfulness tactics could be. So closing it down, kind of the common theme here, breathing mindfully, and mindfulness in general at the end of the day is going to promote better sleep, which will help you feel more rested, which will help you concentrate more, which will help you be more focused during the day. So if there's anything that you can really focus on in the evenings, it is that sleep hygiene. So I can go into a whole spiel with that, but we're sticking with mindfulness for today. And one of the tactics that we'll start with is another mindful breathing exercise. And this is something that is going to help. It's one of my favorite breathing exercises because I think it's just the easiest to remember how to do other than just breathing in and out through your nose. But it's called box breath. And it was, I keep reading that it was developed by the Navy SEAL. I think I remember hearing about it being around earlier than that, but I don't know. I can dig a little bit deeper. If you are interested, let me know. But again, as I had mentioned before, we can use our breath to intentionally calm our bodies down, and physically we will relax, tension will start to release, and it's all just by breathing, which is magical to me, tying it back into that first quote. So box breath, how to do that is you can pick a number. 4 is 4 seconds is a pretty achievable number for most people that are beginning to establish a breath work exercise. As you do this more consistently, you can increase that number all the way up to 8, is where I used to get when I was doing this more regularly. But 4, excellent place to start. And it's pretty easy. So you'll kind of like what we did before, you take a big inhale and exhale to just kind of get yourself ready. Then you'll inhale for that count of 4. You hold the breath in for 4, exhale slowly for 4, and then hold the breath out of your lungs for 4. And you repeat that pattern and making a box, right? 10 times, right? Use your fingers to help you keep count. And at the end of that, you're starting to feel more relaxed and more regulated. So to kind of do it, if you will, we'll take a big inhale, just fill up. Sigh it out. Just breathe in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Big inhale. And sigh it out. Just imagine doing that 10 times. Easy peasy. It's just counting to one number 4 times. Next tool I'll be talking through is mindful reflection. This can be a journaling exercise. It can be just a brain dump of your day. But reflecting back on your day gives your brain kind of that mindful time to process what happened and let that shit go. You're acknowledging and being present and aware of how your brain is reflecting and thinking back on your day, but then adding in that third element of not overreacting or applying a lot of judgment or emotion to those things. And that's the hardest part, right? That emotion's going to come up. You could have had a really crappy day and somebody may have really made you mad. And that's all fine to be aware of and acknowledge and then move on. And that doesn't mean that you're forgiving. It doesn't mean you're forgetting. It just means that you've seen and felt and you're aware of that feeling in you. And you know it's just a feeling and that it will fade and it will move on. And another thought is going to come up and that's going to have some feelings attached to it. And cool, rinse and repeat. But being aware and reflecting back on all of those things throughout the day helps your brain kind of sort through, push things off to certain side, box them up for later or for never, and process. Oh, well, this is not a practice of cyclic sighing, but it is a practice of reflection. So this one the initial time, it might take a little bit longer to identify like 3 to 5 questions that you might want to reflect on at the end of your day. You can just have a reflection time, like where you're just thinking through your day. But if you take some time in advance to figure out what those 3 to 5 questions might be, define when and where and for how long you're going to reflect, and then committing to doing it, that consistency with this practice is what's going to really get those benefits for you and your overall well-being. So those 3 to 5 questions could be something like, what made me feel the most empowered today? What do I want to let go of from my day? What is the most amazing thing that happened today, right? And reflecting back on those things and processing and letting go. And the final one that we're going to talk about is practicing gratitude. Acknowledging gratitude has chemical changes or triggers chemical changes in our brains that help decrease stress. And it can also, it's been linked to the things that are listed on the screen: better sleep, improved focus, and higher self-esteem. The easiest way to do this, and I recommend this to a lot of clients that are in high stress situations, that have those like cyclical thoughts, those thoughts that keep them up at night or wake them up in the morning, right? Is pausing to just ground yourself in what you are grateful for, and why. That's a critical part of this, is what are you grateful for and why? And you don't have to like write a novel, you don't have to share this with anybody. You can write it on a Post-it and then like throw it in the trash. The practice and the exercise of identifying what you're grateful for and why is what's going to bring that benefit to you. It puts your brain in a positive thinking space, and it reminds you of like, oh yeah, like things might be like kind of stressful and crazy right now, but yeah, I've got some good stuff going on here. And that's never a terrible thing to remember, especially as you close out your day. If you're closing, similar to how we opened with that positive intention, if you're closing your day with what you're grateful for, you could have had the worst day, right? Everything has gone wrong. But those three things that you're grateful for and why, whatever they are for you, are that final reminder of like, yeah, like I'm good, and I'm going to be good. And like, this was a bad day, but I'm good and I'm grateful for this, at least. So the practice that I like to recommend the most is just your 3 in 3. 3 things that you're grateful for and why. Usually takes about 3 to 5 minutes. This is a practice that you kind of have to get used to. And on certain days, you're going to be like taking the easy way out. I'm grateful for being alive, and that's fine. As long as you can say that why and really put some meaning behind it, that's what's going to be the beneficial part of the practice. Awesome. Any thoughts, comments, questions, closing it down?
Yeah, absolutely. I usually do that sort of journal toward the end of the work day so that it doesn't stir up stuff like before bed. And then I do the gratitude like before bed. So I can kind of like envelop myself in it. Yeah, it's my practice.
Awesome.
Well, I think that's a good idea or good recommendation, because there's so much negative things happening. And people, I don't know for sure, but it's my impression, my observation, that people get hung up on a negative and will spend, an hour until some superior boss, whatever, comes by and says, drop it, let it go, it's gone.
Yeah.
Move on. Okay. And that's kind of giving you permission, but until something like that happens, or even a coworker, or even someone from the mailroom going, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. And telling it like the guy down the hall, he did worse than that. Oh, okay, so I'm not that bad. It is, I think that's a good tip to write, the positives. And I think everybody has positives. I mean,
Yeah.
they're there. Sometimes there are little things that you don't uncover until you stop and think. It's like, oh my, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
And oh, go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, our brains are wired to perceive and pick up on and sometimes invent negative over positive. That's what has kept us alive and safe. It might be, a hose on the ground, but your brain is gonna be like, snake, so that you can jump and get away. Because if it was a snake, you would want to jump and get away. But our brains are trained to, and by default, look to perceive threat and negative before positive and beneficial. So it really does take intentionality to put ourselves in that positive brain space, because our brains just were built to not do that because we had to keep ourselves safe. So if you find yourself feeling like negative in a moment, and or even just in a negative cycle, like it's normal. Like your brain is functioning the way that it has evolutionarily been built to. And once you become aware of that, you can then intentionally shift it, right? Like, okay, I thank you, brain. You're great. You know, keep me breathing, keep me living, keep my heart beating. But I'm going to go think about some positive stuff right now. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up. So if you are finding yourself in that negative thought pattern, like it's normal and it's okay to have that be the case and notice it. And then you can shift yourself out of it. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, great. So these are all of these things and you can implement them, but how? We kind of talked about the different times of day that you can do it, like all of these things. But what's, I think, beautiful about all of the things that we have talked about today is that you can pick and choose how you're going to implement them. I recommend these three things first, starting with what I like to call experiments, small little experiments. I'm going to try this for 5 minutes at this time of the day, just one of the 9 things that we talked about, and I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to see if I like it, if I don't. Like some of this stuff, you may try it and be like, oh, that is not for me. And that's great. Now you know. But allowing yourself the grace and the time and the space to figure out what does work for you, because all of us are very different. And also keeping in mind that what works right now in this current season might change when your season changes, when you get that job, when you leave that job, when you get a new client that you have to work with. So I always recommend starting with small, manageable experiments. And then secondly, scheduling stuff. Put it in your calendar, even if it's like your personal calendar, just so your phone blips at you and it's like, hey, breathe right now. And then stick to it. So most of these practices, not all of them, but most of them can be practiced anytime, anywhere, most of them within 5 minutes. So scheduling that 5 minutes can just be a good reminder to just, do it now. I know when I was younger, my dad had scheduled a timer on his phone, or no, his watch. He had one of those like old school, like time. I don't know. It was a watch that beeped. It was like a digital watch. So at the same time every day, no matter where we were on vacation, wherever, his watch would beep at like 4:30 or 5. And he would turn to one of us and be like, I love you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's great. Something simple like that. Maybe not an I love you, or it could be. I don't know. That's a pretty good feel thing. But scheduling it in your day. And then implementing what is called habit stacking. So habit stacking is a term James Clear, spelled his name wrong, but fix that. James Clear laid out in his book, Atomic Habits. And the formula for that is listed on the screen. After whatever a current habit that you have, that you do consistently, it could be brushing your teeth, it could be making coffee in the morning. But after or before I do the thing that I always do, I'm gonna do this new thing. And it's been shown that by linking new habits to existing habits, you are way more likely to do that new habit more consistently. So these are 3 things that I always recommend of how to even start with all of this stuff. So take them with you, try some stuff out, and I'd love to hear how it goes. Any questions on these 3 things? Cool. Moving on. I'll make sure I'm respectful of your time. Yes, we still have 6 minutes according to my clock. But yeah, here's everything about me, where you can find me, how you can reach out to me. I'll stop sharing my screen. Actually, I think I copied it, so I might be able to put it in the chat. Here we go. But yeah, so I put just a quick event survey of my own in the chat, and then a free resource for some guided meditations. There's 6 of them. We didn't talk about meditation today, but that's definitely a mindfulness practice. And all of these tracks are 10 minutes or less. I think all of them are less than 10 minutes. So you can utilize those if you like. And yeah, that is my spiel. Any final questions, thoughts, or comments?
I just want to thank you for this. This was absolutely wonderful, and a great focus of self-care that we were able to come tonight and get this information and do the exercises. I don't know if everybody was doing the exercises. I was doing the exercises, and it's definitely a great rejuvenation, and a great mindfulness break in and of itself to come here and be able to work along with you this evening.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Thank
just
you
wanted
all.
to add something. I just wanted to thank you so much for this. It was very helpful.
Yay. Awesome. I'm so glad.
Oh, I think it was extremely helpful and a lot of tips, and it kind of gets back to take care of yourself, or kind of like don't forget to take care of yourself, I
Yeah.
guess. Because many times you go to work, or even this stuff would work for going to an interview, right? I mean, before to
Oh yeah.
just get everything in order, and but with everybody pushing and pulling, and hey, okay, we have a meeting here, a meeting there. What happened to this meeting? Where's the notes? Where's it? Everybody's always asking. The day can fly by, and you're just all wound up. You don't know why, but good, very good tips. I think very nice.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. Please come back again next month. We're going to do it the second Thursday because the first Thursday is 4th of July. No, it's like the 6th or something. But anyway, a lot of people take that whole week off. So we'll be doing it the second week of July. So we'll keep on going through the summer. We have some great programs, and of course, some great networking. And yeah, if anybody would like to follow up with me, that would be awesome. And of course, save the chat so that you have Krista's links and you can take the survey and get her wonderful downloads. All right, be safe out there, and we'll see you next month.
See you all. Thank you.